All right, it is Thursday, February 22, 11:20 a.m. on the West Coast, and I have wrapped up my day. There's a lot to unpack here today, a whole lot of thoughts, a whole lot of things going on, and I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible, but I did take 7 trades today, so it's a lot of trades to go over, and then as well as might as well say it at the top of the video. Apex announced their newest promotion, celebrating their $100 million in payouts, and I have yet to get any percentage of that amount of payouts yet, but I'm still working on it. So today, for until Sunday, is 90% discount. You can use this code or any other, and they're also running the 1 day pass at the same time. So this is the first time that they've run both of those promos at the same time. And I gotta say, it probably messes with me more than anything. I don't think it helps me. I think it just creates chaos in terms of how I'm managing my evaluation accounts, and it makes me do things that I wouldn't otherwise be doing in terms of how I'm trading things. So you'll notice that my big numbers today are much larger than they typically are over here, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, once again, 90% discount goes on through Sunday, and then at, I believe, midnight on Sunday night, it switches over to 80% discount for like another week or so. And the 1 day pass will continue through that whole time. You could go to ATF.com, which is Apex's newest location for their website. Apex Trader Funding also gets you there, and you can check out the details. And also, I do live stream every single day. I try to get on by 9:45 a.m. East Coast to 12:30 East Coast. But some days it just doesn't work out. And today was one of those days. My morning started off being extremely frustrating. I actually woke up early today because I didn't sleep well last night. Got really not a good amount of sleep. And so I woke up before my alarm even went off. And I was actually in the chair turning everything on by 6:35, which is early for me. By 5 or 10 minutes. Not much, but it was early, and I was ready to go right on time for 9:45. I actually had everything up and running, and Ninja Trader was loading the charts right at 9:45, and which is 6:45 in the morning for me, by the way. It's really early on the West Coast, and so I didn't realize, but I saw as I was getting onto the charts that there was news today right at 6:45, like at the same exact time that I was starting my session. So immediately my charts the lag was going off the rails, super high. The charts were getting all delayed. It wasn't loading the charts properly because I look at multiple charts and it was having trouble loading all of them, and just really, it wasn't working. And so I was trying to restart Ninja, restart the connections, trying to refresh the data. And I literally spent 40 minutes this morning just trying to get charts up that I could work with, to even be able to go through and see which charts were the good charts. I couldn't do anything. Like, some of my charts would work, the other half would be frozen. Then the spread and the price line were all out of whack because of the lag. And so after 40 minutes of turning everything off and on and restarting and the whole thing, I finally got everything to start working. So that was how my morning started. It was super frustrating, and then it just only continued from there. But before I get into the trades today, I also just want to talk about this 90% discount and the 1 day to pass, and how it really actually just messes up everything I'm doing. Because, for instance, right now I have account 22, 23, 28, which is currently blown up and not active, and 29. All 4 of those accounts renew next week on Tuesday. I think one of them, and then on Wednesday, I think the 3 others, something like that. So Whereas my plan was to just keep trading normally and cycle through the accounts and be happy to pay the 80% when the 71% discount is going on, or if they have an 80%, to be happy to spend 80% discount on the renewal. Now I am tasked with reconciling the fact that now I have these 4 accounts that for 4 accounts are going to cost me in the neighborhood of $120 to renew all 4, when I can just buy 4 new accounts and not have these renew, and I will spend half as much. So for the price of 120, I could get 8 accounts, or for the price of 60, I could get 4 accounts. And so it just changes the calculus of everything I'm doing regarding these evaluations. And because of that, it just really affects me mentally in terms of like, well, now I got to try to pass these accounts. I might as well try to pass them before they renew and not let them renew, because I'll just buy 4 new ones and give up, these numbers for, I'll have 34, evaluation 34, 35, 36, and 37 now, instead of 22, 23, 28, 29. It's just a swap, and it doesn't really matter. But, especially now after today, none of these accounts are in bad shape. And so I'm going to just throw them away because they're going to offer the 90%. And so all of these accounts are already qualified for 7 days, regardless of the 1-day pass. So I'm throwing away all that time. But it just monetarily makes sense. So, it doesn't make sense to spend $120 on 4 accounts when now I'm going to spend $60 for 4 accounts. I'm saving half the amount of money. But it sucks because it puts extra pressure to trade this account more aggressively. And really, I need to find a way to trade this account more aggressively and this account more aggressively too. So there's 3 active accounts that I'm either going to throw away or try to just YOLO or do something to pass, by I think Monday. But no matter what happens, I think what I've decided is I'm gonna cancel the renewal regardless on all of these, and just try to pass before the renewal happens. And if I don't pass, then they're going to be gone. I'm going to have a fresh account. And if they pass, I'll pay the PA fee and have a new PA on. That would be the good thing. Or they're going to fail because I'm trading too aggressively, and I'm going to just run into losers and fail. So having said all that, I'm finding that kind of no matter what I do, I'm landing in the 80% area. I was kind of in the 80% area for most of the time on the original strategy I was trading back last year. That ended up blowing up in its 3rd month being traded, and I switched from that strategy. But I was about 80%. And then also with what I used to trade, max price action trading system, I used to trade that exclusively on the ES on 2000 tick chart, and I was typically around 80%. I would have bad weeks where I'd be 60% or something, run into a few bad losses in a row. I'd get ahead a little bit and get behind. When I was trading my live account, I'd get profitable and I'd lose it back, and then I'd lose some capital and I'd win it back and be around break even, up until a point where I just blew up and basically blew up the entire account eventually. I was trading a $2,000 live account. So I essentially ultimately ended up blowing that entirely up. That was a combination of trading PATs, and then I blew it up finally when I had my big blow up in December, trading the system I came up with myself previously. I completely blew up. That was on ES. So I blew up my live account. I blew up 4 of my PA accounts. At the time I had PA 1 through 5, and PA 2 is the only one that I hadn't traded during that time. So that one survived. And then I added PA 6 this year in 2024 trading with this strategy that I'm currently trading since I've been trading on YouTube in 2024. So what else was I going to say about that? It's interesting because I've had this PA account number 2 since the end of July, basically the beginning of August last year, and I never traded it. I paid for lifetime. And the first time I started trading it was the day after Christmas when I started trading on NQ and started trading this way. And I was within $600 this morning before I started of getting a payout. And now with my one loss on it today, I started off, my very first trade of the day was on this chart, took a loss, and I was actually down even more. I was down about $480, and I took a trade on it later in the day and got about 100 back. And so I went from being 600 away to now I'm about 1,000 away. So it's not the end of the world. I still have about 2,100 in drawdown. So, I'll continue fighting on that account. But yeah, let me get into the trades. I don't want this video to be too long, and we're already 11 minutes in, and I have 7 trades to talk about. But that is overall my my struggle that I'm currently finding when they run these kinds of promotions. Is it just changes the calculus of how I'm trading the evaluations, and it gives me a deadline. So then it makes me want to be able to spend more time with them and trade them more. And it's very hard while I'm also trying to manage trading my PA account and trying to get this PA number 2 to a payout, which is really the most crucial thing, because I want to be trading with Apex's money and not my own. And as these fees keep coming, I'm getting closer and closer to only becoming break even with a $2,000 payout, and which would still be great. I'll be fine with break even and to have all the accounts, the rest of the accounts, free at that point, and only new fees being, my debt for my Apex trading. So let me get into the trades now. But again, live streaming every day between 9:45 and 12:30 Eastern, which is 6:45 and 9:30 Eastern in the morning for me on the West Coast. And I do, because of these promotions and things, I am tending to trade later than 9:30 most days lately. One day I want to get back to being done by 9:30, 12:30 Eastern. Let me talk about the trades here. But before I do, let me just go over, again, I was 6-1 today. So 86% for the day. You can see it in this yellow box over here. 86%. And for the week, I'm now 9-2, 82%. And overall for the year 2024 on YouTube, I am 78-19. So that is right at 80%. And I am now, what is that? That's 97 trades for the year. So I am 3 trades away from 100 trades, which is amazing. I never thought I would have 100 trades in 2 months' time. So I'm going to talk about more as I wrap up getting through talking about the trades today. I'm going to talk about more about leaning into my system, which is ultimately why I had 7 trades today. So real quickly, PA6, I was 3-0 on that, and I was up $200. So bringing it back from the loss I took on it yesterday, I believe it was. I believe my one loss was on that yesterday. So got 200 back, another 200, and I'll be ahead of where I was on that loss. Evaluation 22, which is one of the ones I'm talking about that's going to expire on Tuesday. I made $750, basically $760. I was 6-0 on that. And how the day went was my first trade was a loss, which is right here on this chart. And then, of course, switched charts after it took that loss to a chart that had no losses. And I ended up trading on 5 different charts today. But regardless, I ended up going 6-0. I took every winning trade only on evaluation 22. So I went 6-0, $760 for the day. Evaluation 23, I went 5-0, $620 for the day. Evaluation 29, I went 1-0, made $140 for the day. And on evaluation which one is it? Evaluation 31, which is down here. I also took the first loss of the day. on that. So I started off 0-1, and then I traded 4 more trades on it. And so I reduced the losses from the starting amount. I think I was down about 480. I got it down to down 150. So if I had kept trading PA number 2, which I'll talk about next, which I was 1-1, I finished the day down $385 on that account. I took the first loss on that. These two were copy traded on the first trade. So both of those started off 0-1. I then left PA2 alone. I moved on to PA6, but I kept trading evaluation 31. So I did get 4 wins back, got it down to $150 loss. And this account, it just renewed this past weekend. So evaluation 31, I have like a whole month with it. So I'm not trying to trade this one super aggressively right now because I've got plenty of time. I just paid the 80% off price, basically $30. So I'm not going to go too hard on it and just try to pass it. I've got a month to pass it. So I'm not affected by the sale and promotion on that one. PA2 went 1-1. I came back and got about $100 back on a second trade on it. So let's get into the trades right now. All right, so this is the first chart I started on. It's funny, I actually thought that there was no losers on this chart before I took this loss or before I took this trade. There actually was one in the overnight that I overlooked, but it was every entry one for my scalp target except for one, and I looked at it and I just ignored it. I forgot that I ignored it, and so technically, this wasn't the first loss on the chart for the day after going back and looking at the chart again. But it still would have been a good enough chart for me to trade according to how I look at these charts, which is as long as it has a lot of entries that worked over here once the market opened, I'm willing to forgive one loss in the overnight somewhere if the chart is working otherwise. So we had a big push up, had a second leg up here. And, if I was applying here, so this is actually the next thing to talk about. 1 second here. All right. Just had a quick interruption there. So I talked about how, there was just the one loss, but it was basically a good chart otherwise. Now let's remember that since about 6:35 in the morning, to 6:40, I was at my computer trying to make Ninja work and trying to get my charts to work and to load and to not have lag and to load all the charts I look at. And all this time it took me to get it working. And literally right after I started to have a chart that I could work with, it was literally about 7:30, this setup. And because, again, going back to the promo and the sale and the 1-day pass and everything, I usually look for the first best good trade for my PA and I apply some basic rules. Now, I told myself when I woke up this morning, as well as last night when I was going to sleep, and I really didn't sleep well, and it's probably because I had this all in my mind, that I wasn't going to trade with rules today because I wanted to get to evaluation. So if I had a winning chart, I was going to just take the entries as they come and not apply rules, no filters, and really just hope for the best. And of course, when I do that, my first trade is a loss. And well, I thought it was the first loss on the chart. It was the second loss on the chart. But truly, either way, it was just like bad timing. It went and had more wins after that. But I happened to take the first trade where there was a loss in the regular session, the first loss of the regular session, we'll say. So, I knew it was going to go against me immediately because it ticked me in and just went right against me. Now, because this was my most important PA, I'm not trying to play any games with my stop. So I accept the loss, and, it's really, a downer. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It was really a downer to get that loss. I just recovered my last loss on the account. Actually, I think I had two losses within a short time of each other, within a couple of days. And so yesterday's wins on the account just recovered finally the full amount of the losses I had taken on this account. And so I was within $600 of getting to the payout, to being able to be approved for a payout. And now I went backwards. I was $500 behind where I was. I made $100 back on a later trade, and I'll get back to that. But so just really disappointing way to start the day, especially after having such a frustrating morning, just trying to get Ninja to work and being able to trade in the first place. And of course, there were a bunch of trades in here that whole time that I was wanting to trade that would have worked. And but man, it was just, the market was flying. The news came out at 6:45. The lag was going crazy, and it finally was down to zero here. And I don't know what else to call it other than just bad luck. So unfortunately, it was on my most important account to me, but it lives to fight another day. And so I actually copy traded to evaluation 31 as well, which was my my evaluation that's the closest to passing at the beginning of the day. So that was disappointing too, to take that hit. And so after that, I decided to carry on, and I wasn't going to let it disturb me. The theory behind the system, for anyone that's new watching, is I'm able to pull up a bunch of different tick size charts, and I have a way of being able to see virtually automatically, without checking each one individually, if the entries are working for my scalp target or not. And that's it. I look for 3 or 4 charts that ideally have no losses on the chart for any entry. And then the edge, I believe, is to just take every trade on a winning chart. And today it didn't work out in my favor on this first trade. And but I decided that I was going to move on to the next chart. The other charts had no losses at all. So I decided I was going to just take every trade. And if I run into a loser, so be it. But this is what I was going to do to try to, kind of add a turbocharge to my trading and get more volume. So, and as you can see, ultimately it ended up working out because I was 6-1. But let's move on to the next chart. All right, so here's my second chart for the day. Different size tick chart. And again, all of these, I'm trading NQ only. And here's a really good example of a trade I would never in a million years ever take according to any kind of rules or system that involves rules and according to price action. But this, again, was a chart that had no losses the entire session from yesterday's open. And my mentality was, I'm going to take every entry today. And the reason why I gotta say it too, I mentioned it during my live stream, but yesterday I took 4 trades and I went 3-1. And on one of my charts, there was literally 12 entries in a row from the time I started trading to the time I took my loss. There was 12 entries that all worked. So in that time period, I took one of them. I took one of the 12 entries. And by the time I took another trade on that chart, that was the next loss on that chart, which became my loss. So I literally could have gone 12-0 if I was taking every entry there. I mean, I probably would have been done for the day before I even got to 12-0. I probably would have called it when I just got through all of my accounts. So because of that experience yesterday, because of the 90% sale, because of the 1 day to pass, because of all these things, I had in my head that I need to just start taking every entry, because when you get a chart that's hot like that, you can really run the table and get through all of your accounts, get get all your accounts green and be able to call it for a day before you even run into a loss. Or if I run into a loss, if I'm cycling through accounts, then it's just going to affect one account. But meanwhile, all the other accounts are going to get the profit from taking all those trades that I wouldn't otherwise have taken. And I didn't take any of those 12. I only took one of those 12 trades yesterday because only one of them looked good. And I was looking for good trades on my PA accounts. And so out of all 12, literally every entry looked terrible except for two, the one I won on and the one I lost on. So it just goes to show that, there are systems where you don't have to have the perfect signal bar. You don't have to have the perfect entry, and you can still get wins, especially on NQ if you're just going for a small scalp target and there's enough margin and wiggle room, even a bad trade can win. And so we want to talk about what looks like a bad trade. To me, this looks like a terrible trade, and I won. I decided not to trade PA number 2 again because I didn't want to risk getting 2 losses in a row, because that would have felt really devastating to me, and it would have put me behind. I could have been down over $1,000 on the account for the day, and so I don't want to continue to trade that right away. So I switched to PA6. I continued trading Eval 31, which took the first loss, and then I added Eval 22 and 23, keeping in mind that those are going to be renewing soon, so I need to start trading them. So I decided no harm in trying to trade those. So I took this trade, and this is, literally I have an inside bar as a different color, so I won't take a trade after an inside bar. But I took this trade because my mentality is, look at yesterday. All the trades yesterday virtually looked like this. And so if I'm not willing to take the trade and use my edge for my system, then I'm missing out on a lot of winning trades. So I took this trade. I took it on a PA account. I could have easily ended up with another loss here, but I was trusting the system and the edge of my system. And every time I lean into it, I tend to do well. At the very least, I get more trades. And if I'm spreading them across accounts, that means more accounts are going to be profitable, while I may take a hit on 1 or 2 accounts potentially. So I took this trade after an inside bar. It worked beautifully. The other thing I forgot to mention was I'm trying to capture more than my usual 11 ticks that I go for. So I'm using an auto stop strategy, and I'm trying to capture as many ticks as I can, where once the price goes a certain amount, my auto stop automatically moves up. And then as the price continues to move up, my auto stop will continue to follow up behind it, the same equal distance behind it. So on these trades, I think I just got the regular amount. I marked the ones where I got more than my usual amount. So this, I just got the usual scalp target. I think I got 10 ticks or so. And then let's move on to trade number 3. All right, so now move on to trade number 3, which is on a different size tick chart. And you can see I had just taken my previous trade right here. Well, I had another entry on this chart right behind it. And this was another chart that had, again, no entries that would have lost for my profit target. And so when I saw that there was going to be an entry above now this inside bar, I entered it again. Again, this is not a trade I would ever take if I was applying any sort of rules to my trading. But this is just strictly trusting the chart. It hasn't lost yet. I'm taking the trade. I took it on PA6 again, and as well as evaluation 22, 23, and 31 again. And I got my profit target. So I think on 1 or 2 of these trades, it might have been this one actually, I think, where I got a little bit less than, maybe it was even the previous trade, I forget. But you could go back for all of these trades that I review. You can go back and see any and all of them, how they played out live during my live stream. I leave my live streams up, and they're always viewable to go back and see how I'm entering these trades and how they played out in real time. So I think I got a little bit less than my profit target on one or two of these trades, which is okay, because then there's other trades where I get more than the 11 ticks I usually go for. So again, not much to say here. Oh, I think there was something here. If you go back and look at my live recording of it, where I think it hit my profit target and it didn't move my stop or something. So I think I actually manually exited this one because I was a little scared, quite honestly. I think if I left it, it actually would have ended up working, or maybe my setting was incorrect on this trade on this chart. I forget. Go back. I talk about it in the live stream if you're interested in checking that out. Then moving on, trade 4 on the same chart. Again, no rules, no filters. Had another entry. I took it again on PA number 6 and the same evaluations again. And this one I actually got 13 ticks, so I got 2 extra ticks on each contract. So, I think I'm liking trading with this on, and I think this is going to be my new way of trading. There's some trades that I'll get maybe 10 ticks instead of 11, or maybe 9 instead of 11. There's some instances of that, but I think the times where I get more ticks will be more beneficial to me overall. So I think I am going to stick with this. I've tested it a bit now. Haven't had too many difficulties with it, so I'm going to keep trying. So that is trade number 4, and then let's move on to the next chart for trade number 5. All right. So also at some point when I was trading on the last chart, I had looked and found this chart, which I hadn't had found yet at that point of the day. It was sometime around the time I took trade number 4 that I was looking, and I found this chart that had no entries that I had lost for the day. And this was a bigger tick chart. And so when I saw this tick chart with all good entries, I was losing charts along the way that started picking up losers when I was in other trades. So because of that, I started to look for another chart, and that's just what I do. As charts drop off and get losses, I start looking for other charts that are perfect charts, and I'll trade those. And it's really just kind of that random almost in a sense. So anyway, so you can see this was my last winning trade here on the other chart, and not too long after, this set up a entry here. Trying to make this not stretch and look too weird. You can see this is the live market now ahead. So so I took a short here on the other chart that you saw on trade 4. And so now I had this chart. And so I left that chart to this chart because I saw this setting up, and took this again. It's not a trade I would ever take according to any rules I have, except for leaning into the system and trusting the chart when it has no losses. And so again, I got another win. I was able to get 11 ticks on this one. And I traded the same accounts, PA2, Eval 22, 23, 31. And so at this point, I felt like, okay, I was up $200 on PA6, and I didn't want to put that at jeopardy anymore. So at that point, actually, this should say, I guess I didn't write it, but this should say PA2 on trade number 6. I traded PA2, Eval 22, 23, and I took off 31 because I figured, okay, I got enough of it back, and I've got a whole month to trade it. So I don't want to put this account at risk anymore, because I do want to pass it, and it doesn't have to be passed anytime in the next few days. And so I decided to switch on to account 29, which is going to expire. I threw 3 contracts on, and it's not going to help me pass it. Trading the system, But I took this trade, with those four accounts, and let's see, yeah, I got the win. I got 14 ticks on this trade, so that was a good one. And again, I don't think I would have taken this trade based on any rules. I mean, I did measure this, but I didn't measure it till afterwards. I see these things now because of trading price action so long that when I see a leg up, I kind of expect another leg up. But I wouldn't have taken this trade, honestly. It's a flat EMA, and it's not clear whether, it's one leg down. Maybe there'll be another leg down. It's just not clear to me if I'm applying any filter or rules to it. But again, I'm just taking every entry on the winning charts. So I took it. It won. And now, not too long after that, trade 7 comes in. Now at this point, I'm like, okay, this turned into not such a bad day for me. And really, I want to focus on trying to get one of the 3 evaluations that are going to renew. Even if I just get one of them to a PA account before they renew, because I'm not letting them renew, that would be a good thing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to turn everything else off. I'm just going to trade evaluation 22 at this point. It was late in the day. It was already getting close to 10 o'clock West Coast time. And I know that losses are bound to happen at this time. The way I've observed this works is when you have a winning chart, the later in the day it gets, it's just probabilities, right? The later in the day it gets, the more and more likely that a loss on the chart is going to occur. It's just bound to happen. Sometimes it never happens, but sometimes I've seen charts where the whole day goes by and it never lost. But it's bound to happen. So at this point, I decided, okay, I'm going to play it safe. I'll just play evaluation 22. If it blows up, or if I get a loss, or whatever the case may be, it doesn't really matter. And so I entered this trade. I actually drew out like, oh, I'm expecting it to get to the measured move. So it was happening before it got there. I would much preferred it to happen up here. That's where I would have wanted it to happen. But that wasn't the case. So it was an engulfing bar too. I think it had matching highs, it looks like. And so it engulfed, and it brought me into the trade, and then it backed up immediately. And it was like, it literally went almost to the top. And so I moved my stop on this one. I moved it way out of the way, and I was just like, well, if it blows the account, it blows the account. I'm not renewing it anyway. So it's a pass or fail or nothing situation. So I was willing to blow up the account on this trade, and then sure, it was going to tick out, become a losing trade, and then just go where it went ultimately. But it ended up coming back down and ended up working for a scalp. I actually got 19 ticks on this one. So this was my best profit trade, most profit for individual trade using my ATM strategy, and 19 ticks only on that account. And that's how I got up to $760 on that account. So this account was below the starting balance when I started the day. And now it has, virtually almost a full drawdown. I think I have a shot at passing it before it renews. So that's going to be in my mind. So having gone through all my trades today, using this system of just being indiscriminate and taking every entry, I started my day off with a loss, which sucked. And then I went 6-0. And every single one of these trades I showed that I won on today, I would have never taken a single one of them if applying any rules or applying any price action filter of any kind that I would typically use for my trading. Today would have been, I think I would have had a flat day. Honestly, I think I wouldn't have taken the first trade because it was such an up day. I wouldn't have wanted to take a counter trend trade. And I think I would have I don't think I would have had a trade today. I think I would have had a 0 trade day. So now applying that to how I want to move forward, what I want to do is trade how I traded today. I'm willing to take a loss on account. Even, unfortunately, even my best PA account, I've got to be willing to take a loss, because what I want to do is I want to start off my day. What I'm going to do from now on, since there's now been 3 or 4 days recently where my first trade of the day turns out to be a loser. So, and it's a lot of times been the first loser on the entire chart. I'm going to start my day on an evaluation. So I'll start on, well, I guess 22, because it's the most inconsequential. So I'm going to only trade 22. If I get a win, I'll move on to a PA account. I'll go to PA number 2. And I'll continue to copy trade evaluation 22. If I get a win, I'll stop trading PA2 and I'll go to PA6 and I'll copy trade eval 22 with PA6. If I get a win, I'll move on to the next account and I'll stop trading the PA and I'll move to the next evaluation with the evaluation 22. And I'll just try to keep racking up wins until I pass evaluation 22. If I hit a loss, then I'll probably just let the account blow up because it's going to be running out of time anyway. And I'll just move on to whatever the next account is. And that's how I want to trade moving forward. And that way I want to just be cycling through these accounts. And the idea is if I can get one win on each account, I'll probably call it for a day. You know, that's ideally how I want to do it. If the chart is just looking like really good and it just keeps winning, like maybe I'll take a second trade on some accounts, even PA account. I'll have to gauge it in real time as it's going. And it's going to take a lot of time to just get comfortable trading this way, because it feels very scary taking a trade where visually, according to the price action rules that I understand, it looks like bad trades. But too many times I've seen days like yesterday where there's 12 winners in a row that I could take and I didn't take them. Today, there were 6 trades in a row that I won that I wouldn't normally take any of them. And so I'm just, I feel like I'm not taking full advantage of this system if I don't go for it, if I don't try to take advantage, lean in to my edge and just take these trades. And it just, you know, it feels really scary on the PA accounts, like more than the evaluations. It doesn't matter, but the PA accounts, I've worked so hard on this PA account for so long now, 2 months, and still trying to get to a payout that it just sucks when you get a loss on it. But I think, I could be wrong, but I think doing it this way, I have a better chance of getting more trades, more volume of trades, getting more trades on all the accounts, and the odds are on the side of getting to a payout quicker, getting to pass evaluations quicker. And there will be losses along the way. I will take a loss here. I will take a loss there. My hope is that the losses I do take will end up being mostly on evaluations that don't matter and not so much on my PA accounts. But it's going to be a game of Russian roulette to a certain degree. And the other thing is I find I'm like 80% when I apply the rules, and I'm kind of like 80%. Well, I was 86%, but I'm kind of like 80% when I'm not applying the rules, right? So I'd rather have more trades and more opportunities to make 7 out of 10 accounts green and maybe 1 or 2 accounts red, or maybe I could get 9 green and 1 account red, or maybe they all be green, or maybe 8 accounts will be green and 2 accounts will be red. Who knows? But that's the concept. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm working towards. And it's really just like it's like a Luke Skywalker moment in Star Wars when he hears Obi-Wan Kenobi say, use the Force, and he turns off all the computer systems and just uses as an instinct. It's kind of like some twisted, weird version of that, I guess. anyway, I think that's it for me today. It's a 45-minute video, longer than I would want to typically longer than I'd want to typically make it. But there's just so much to unpack today, and let's see where this takes me. Let's see how this goes. I mean, today is just a crazy day. That NASDAQ NQ is up 530 points for the day. It's up 3%. I mean, we haven't seen a day like this in a really long time. You know, the other thing on the daily, I kind of marked off where the high of this last all-time high is, and we are going for it, you know. And then there's also just, you know, potential resistance at the body. So I'm not surprised. This was like a second entry on the daily chart. And I'm not surprised that we're getting this retest. And I also wouldn't be surprised. I measured out this leg. I wouldn't be surprised if we got all the way up there. So, you know, if we get all the way up there, we're talking about like almost 18,500. So that's another 500 points higher, potentially. I have no idea, but that's something I have to keep in mind. And I think, you know, shorts got trapped. People were loading up on shorts, and I think they got trapped, and then NVIDIA sparked this whole thing, obviously. So I think that's going to be it for me today. Let me, again, streaming live every day. And here's the day: 6-1, 3-0 on PA number 6, 1-1 on PA number 2. Those are the most important. And overall, you know, the other thing I have to say is, you know, one day I hope these are all PA accounts, right? Some version of this is they're all PA accounts. And so if I take a loss on 2 accounts, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts in this case that are all green, and overall for the day I would be up $1,180. So you know, it's another way to look at it too. They're not all PA accounts yet, so I'm not looking at it that way right now. But right now, to me, I lost $385 today. It's really the reality. And well, not really, because I made 200, but I'm still below starting balance. So the 200 doesn't really count. The 200 is insignificant. I have to be over the starting balance for it to matter. So I look at it like I lost $385 today. Today feels like a red day to me, but I think my system, you know, I think I protected it. Obviously, if I took every trade, it would have ended up green. So that's the other thing. I mean, I have to consider one day is if I have multiple accounts, I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket of one PA account. You know, maybe at that point, if I took the rest of the 6 trades instead of only one of them, this would have been a green account today. I would have been back over where I started. So that's another thing to keep in mind, but for down the road. All right, I've really said it all. Thanks for watching. I appreciate. I had someone come into my stream today, Zach, and we actually had a little bit of a conversation for like 20 minutes or something, and that was really cool. I hope one day my channel can grow and people are interested enough to come check me out live. I know there's a lot of other really good streaming options out there, live streaming options. For one, I really like watching Alpine. Alpine Trader is my favorite YouTuber that live streams, and he's kind of the one that I'm modeling how I'm kind of molding how I'm trading my Apex accounts after. And so I really like watching him, and most of the day I can't watch him during the live market. I go back and try to skip through and watch most of his stream after the fact. I like to see what he says, and he has a lot of good insights, and he's killing it. I mean, he made I think he said 48,000 just from Apex in February, total payouts. So, and he trades other firms as well. So I only trade Apex. I show all my accounts. I show all my balances. I show win or loss. I never hide an account. The accounts are never off screen. I'm never doing something that I don't show on my live stream. I never trade off of my live stream. And for anyone that appreciates that, I'm just trying to figure this trading game out. I'm not trying to teach anyone how to trade. I'm really just trying to figure it out for myself, and I'm just documenting and recording it. and seeing where it takes me. And I'm adjusting and choosing how to go about this trading game and how to deal with prop firms and Apex specifically. And I'm just showing it all. And if you get anything out of that, I appreciate it. If you like and subscribe the videos, check out the live streams, check out these reviews. And if you want to come into the live stream and ask questions, have a chat, anything, I'm down. It's a lot of fun. It passes time. And I think it just makes the stream more interesting. So I would love for it to grow. Anyway, this is a really long video, 50 minutes. It's time to call it quits. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a good trading day, and hope we all have good trading days to come. See you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Bye.